Hey everyone, I wanted to introduce you to someone that helps me stay healthy. You know, as a chiropractor, I talk about movement and mobility and the importance of exercising consistently in the practice. And I get a lot of questions about types of training, what do I do, what have I done? And I thought it might be fun today to start introducing you to people that help me stay healthy. So this fella here, Eric, is my trainer, but we're going to talk a little bit about, he's not just a trainer, he has certainly helped me transform other health habits, which I'm really appreciative of. So before we get into some of the nitty gritty about some habits that you can develop with exercise, and we want to talk about some of the common barriers we see with people, and also give you some tips to really get yourself started if you're in a place that you just know you need to get started. But why don't you tell people to start a little bit about your approach and what you're doing these days with training and everything else that you do? Not just training.
Yeah, how much time do you have? Well, you know, I started a long time ago, late 90s actually, as a personal trainer. And that was during my time as an athlete, and I just wanted to help the rest of my teammates. I wanted to help my friends. I wanted to help my family. I just feel what I felt, what it was like to have a body that actually responded when you asked it to. So many people I noticed that were just having so many issues here, there, even just with sinus issues, anything. I was just like, you know what? I don't get those. Why is it I don't get them? Well, what's different than I have? Well, the only thing that I had that was that I was training like a madman for my sports, and I was eating healthy, and I was trying to do all these things that would keep my body working for the things that I love, which was my sport. And I just realized there was a huge correlation between what I was doing and the results I was getting in everyday life. So I just decided to start helping the friends and family that I had, and slowly over the years, what I've done is I've brought in all these little bits and pieces that have come naturally from helping people into what I do with the clients. So from my clients, I'll have a unique situation where I'm like, you know, what do I do here? And then
we'll end up talking about things that are, you know, in our training sessions. The next thing we're talking about food, or we're talking about fasting, or we're talking about stress, and all of a sudden you'll add something else into it. So it sounds to me like my experience with chiropractic, the more time you spend in practice, the more you learn, and then you want to keep sharing those new tidbits of information with people because you know they're going to get better results when they add more things into their lifestyle rather than just exercise. Yeah,
completely. Everything that I've done in my life and my career has always been as holistic as I can possibly make it. And when you have something new, you just want to share it. You want to bring it in. And if you see something in your client that you know you can adjust just the slightest little bit, you want to bring that to them as best you possibly can. And see that come to fruition in them. And, you know, like our journey has been a great journey. I mean,
I think I started with zero expectations 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I didn't care. Wasn't in it to lose weight. I was just like, I want to stay healthy because I want to be able to do the work that I love and be a healthy mom and enjoy the sports I can for as long as possible. But I think my transformation in 3 years has been more than I expected because of other things that we've added. And the big thing, and maybe we could talk about this, is consistency.
Yes, definitely. Right? 100% consistency. Actually, it's really strange and funny at the same time. When I started training with you, it was very unique because you kind of came at it like, I really don't need this, but you know,
and a chiropractor, so I'm calling about
it good, and you know, I just don't feel like thinking because you know I've been busy thinking all day. So can you just help me here?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, sure, let's see what happens. And lo and behold, 3 years later, here we are, and it's been a complete rework. But
I will say that is one of the advantages of working with someone specifically is that you can just show up. And for me, I have a full life with my kids, with our practice, with everything else that I'm doing, and I just show up. And I think you usually tell me, can you just give me like the next hour and not ask any questions and just do what I say? And a lot of times I swear at you, or I will, I'll say other things, and we usually have a pretty good time. But it's just being able to not think about things and not have to plan the workout. So that would be an advantage of working with someone. And also, you know, injuries. If there have been things that have happened, we've been able to tailor them, or you've helped me avoid injuries because you're obviously observing what I'm doing.
Yeah, we all have our own blind spots where, you know, like we just cannot see what we're doing as if we're looking at ourselves, you know.
Right.
There's always a benefit to having a coach because they just have that perspective that you do not have. It's a blind spot. You cannot see it by definition. So you need to have another perspective in order to see that. And that is the best way to avoid injury, fix injuries, recognize patterns, all the little bits and pieces that you just can't get without help.
So working with a trainer is great. if that's not where you're at right now, and budget-wise or time-wise or where you live, what would be some things that people could do to get started?
Oh, the easiest thing to do is just show up.
Yeah,
so many people miss that part. They're like, okay, I'm going to do this. And it's like January 2nd, January 3rd, January 15th, January 7th. Oh, well, I'll start next year.
Right.
And it's done. So showing up is a big factor. There's actually a really funny story about a guy who showed up for an executive workout at the gym. Just to show up. An executive workout, for those who don't know, is just to show up and grab a sauna or a shower and a shave and then leave. So this guy showed up every day for like 3 months just to create the habit of showing up to the gym. And eventually he slowly worked himself into actually showing up to the gym part of the gym and not just the change room.
The after part?
Yeah. And you know, a year and a half later, he's down 70 pounds and loving life. And it was all because he had to start small enough just to keep being there and not jump in too far too quick and end up hurting himself or getting discouraged or anything like that. But creating the habit in the beginning of showing up, eventually you're going to show up and start doing things properly. And
it's just, and half the time, I mean, there's been plenty of workouts where I have not wanted to show up. I come in and I'm cranky or I'm tired.
Those are always the best ones.
Yeah, they're the best workouts.
Always the best.
Because afterwards, I tell you what, I feel like a completely different person. And my energy goes way up and I feel like I can rock my day. So showing up is the first place to start. However, some people feel like maybe they're intimidated to go to a gym because maybe don't want to be around other people or they're not confident in participating in classes. So would there be things that you would like, tips you would give people that would help them get started?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's an individual thing.
Fair
itself,
enough.
Depending on where their issues lie. I mean, with going back to that same example, this guy that showed up to do the executive workout, he had an issue of going onto the gym floor and being judged because he was big, or hanging out with all the muscly, young men, and being judged again because he just didn't feel comfortable. So, getting comfortable with being in this atmosphere first was his number one priority. And then what happened was that he slowly but surely started to say hi to people. People started to recognize him. He started to joke around, here's the guy that does the sauna.
Yeah.
But he became more comfortable with it and eventually just started to venture further and further and further. And that's sort of what his overall goal was, to just become someone that always went to the gym. And eventually it worked for him really, really well. And now his life is completely different. Yeah,
and I think there's obviously a benefit too when you go to a gym, you're going to be around other people. And you can build new friendships, or if you can have an accountability, like a partner, someone to work out with, you might make new friends, and that's going to support your health as well. We live in Collingwood, so there is no shortage of things to do here any time of the year. All 4 seasons, it's a playground. So I always tell people, if you don't want to have a gym membership, at least get out and start walking. Hit the trails. Walking is great for your spine. It's great for your overall health. And then maybe you're going to be ready to start maybe running, maybe getting on a bike. And I think it's important to remind people that once you get started, like Eric said, it gets easier to keep going because you start to see some results. You start to see that maybe your mobility is changing, or your digestive system is improving, your mental focus is improving. I mean, everything improves with exercise. I think, Sarah, we'll give Sarah hype, but we're going to give you a shout out here too, because I used to work out with Sarah all the time. And I know she has a t-shirt that says, exercise is the best drug out there, or something along those lines, because when you move your body, it triggers so many positive feedback loops in your body. So many different things happen. Everything in your body gets better when you exercise, right?
100%. Yeah, the endorphin rush that comes with it is as good as any drug out there.
And then it gets easier, right? Because you start feeling better. If you start feeling better, it gets easier to, maybe I'll start looking at my diet, or maybe I'm really stressed. Maybe I need to start working with someone about that, or maybe there's more, sleep I need to get. There's easier.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned running,
but I will not run.
Well, you see what that is? You won't run because you don't like it right now, because you suck at it. And that's the thing. When you exercise, when we start exercising, we suck at exercising. That's the whole thing about exercise, is it sucks.
Yeah.
But when you do the things that you suck at, you get better. That's the beauty in how we are designed. We are supposed to do the things that we suck at. Actually, if it's not something you're bad at in the beginning, it's not worth doing. You have to improve.
Everything good happens outside your comfort zone.
Exactly.
I definitely agree with that.
Exactly. So as you get better, you start to like it more. And then once you like it, well, hey, then it's part of your life. And guess what? You're going to reap all the benefits from being in your life as part of your everyday. And, like I'm naturally not a runner myself, but hey, like I push myself past that and I love running now. So
I'm not convinced yet. 3 years later, I still haven't. Actually, I did run a little bit this past summer.
You did all on your own as well.
But I will say that on my mountain bike recently, I killed it. I was like, my endurance was great.
Yeah.
So give me a bike and I'm okay. So we got to wrap things up here. But if there was one thing you notice consistently with your clients, a piece of advice that you find yourself on repeat, like that you, because I know I have those moments in the practice where I feel like I'm telling everyone the same recommendations consistently, or I get the same kind of challenges that people are having with implementing something new. Do you have something that comes to mind?
I do, but it's a bit harsh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he already told you I suck at running, and you just have to get started. So.
Okay. So the one thing I find that happens all the time is maturity levels. Now, this is a bit weird. Maturity levels, not you. No, I'm not saying this, but this happens all the time. And people say this, yes, but I have this issue with food, or I have that issue with food, or when I try and fast, I can't make it. And this is something that is going to be very hard, but grow up a little bit about your food. So many people have all these old habits that they gained when they were kids, and they've never gone past them. Oh, I don't eat broccoli, or I don't eat vegetables, or whatever. Like I grew up not liking coffee. I didn't drink coffee until my 30s when I realized that there actually was health benefits to having coffee. Or mushrooms. Like I was like, oh no, mushrooms. But you know what? There is very healthy properties in there as long as you take it responsibly, and you work with it accordingly. So I guess the best thing you could possibly do is be mature about your choices with food.
Right, because it's making me think of something that you said about you can't exercise a bad diet, or something more eloquent than that.
You can't outrun a bad diet. There's no two ways around. No matter how much you try and out-exercise the amount of bad food or beer or wine you consume, there's no outrunning it.
There's only so many burpees you can do, or weights you can lift, or running that you can do to compensate for the caloric.
If you add up the calories, one night of going to the bar, the amount of exercise you have to do to reverse all that is insane. You just don't have that much time or energy in your body, because it'll just eventually break down, and you won't have enough to repair itself. You'll be spiraling down instead of up. So you can't outrun a bad diet. Be mature about your choices. Don't say I can't because I have this issue of not liking something, and don't indulge yourself to the point of, but I just needed it at that moment. Well, that's where I say grow up a little bit, like be mature about your choices, and, just when you see yourself in a situation where you're going to overeat, recognize it. Be mature and just say, okay, well, I'm just not going to do that, and I'm going to pull that back and be proud of the fact that, hey, I just did that, and give yourself a little pat in the back. And if you see someone else doing it, give them a pat in the back too, because community works. It works really well. Yeah,
I mean, and nutrition and exercise go so closely together. I wish we could continue talking about. We're going to wrap things up today, but thanks for your time. And I have to go get changed because he's going to kick my... I won't use the word. I'm going to have a pretty good workout, I think, in the next 5 minutes. So I hope this helped you. And if you have questions, be sure to post them here below or get in touch with either one of us. And we'd love to answer them for you. See you soon.